we know why it matters. Why it matters? Why does having a term like nomophobia matter? It matters because it helps us name and identify what is occurring. For me to be able to say, look, I know I'm having these experiences. And it's easy for me to just rationalize it off and get rid of it and say, well, of course it's going to happen. I'm in a world that's rapidly changing and I need my devices. That's why I go to these retreats, so I can detox. But when you have someone who steps forward and says, look, it's not normal. It is something that is a byproduct of the world that we're moving into. And we have an opportunity right now to name it and to do something about it with mindfulness and choice. Then that makes me stop and go, whoa, wait a second. He's right. He's right. This is an opportunity for us to say, or at least to me, he's right. We can all make our own choice. But to me, he's right. Because it is my choice to either say, I'm just part of a system, and this is an outcome of the system I'm part of. Or I can say, yes, this is part of what is occurring in our system, but I can choose how I show up in that system. And I choose to, instead of having to do a detox by going to a retreat and spending my whole retreat detoxing, I will detox every day and begin to understand that this is just like any other substance in my life. And if I treat it as such, then I get to determine how it comes into my form and how I utilize it. So if I were treating it just like sugar or alcohol or anything else, I would do so in moderation. I would detox from it so that I am the one directing the flow into how it comes into my space and how I purge it out. So why am I not doing that? Why am I not being more mindful so that I don't have to do it all at once and literally have withdrawal symptoms?
It makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really good way to put it. And I believe you were kind of sharing with me the idea of we fast with our bodies, right? So why don't we fast? We can do intermittent fasting with our digital, with our digital devices or our mobile specifically. I don't really use the word mobile though. That's but
Be
our cell phones.
British.
Yeah,
Come on.
Mobile. No, that's really bad British.
That was so bad.
So bad.
Sorry for everyone who's British and listening to this.
That was just really bad. This is why I'm not an actor. It's the having our cell phones and just being able to just make a little bit of a change. If there's maybe during breakfast in the morning, or whether it's breakfast or maybe right when you wake up, do you need to immediately look at your phone, or can you set a new routine for yourself first thing that's a little bit more focused on yourself, not from a selfish standpoint, but from a self-love standpoint of focus on you instead of saying what's going on the phone, or during lunch, or maybe even during dinner. Maybe you just set your phone aside and you have dinner with your loved ones or your family or something like that, or your friends, and you just get that quality time, maybe 30 minutes to an hour or something like that. Or as you were saying, even if you just need to take 15 minutes and you just need to go and just go read for a little bit, or just meditate or relax, where you meditate without your phone. You don't need an app. Maybe you can just sit in presence and relax. And so there are so many different ways we can do it. And so that's why I love this idea of kind of these micro adjustments throughout the day so that it can support us on a greater basis. This is highly utilized when it comes to food, when it comes to working out, all these physical approaches, or addictions is kind of what you were talking about. These are a great way to make micro adjustments and habits to better our lives. And so why wouldn't it be used in this way?
I know personally, when I was adjusting my approach to food, it was key for me I did some things very radically and I just changed it all at once. And then other things I had to change in small increments. And this is another one where the moment I realized this was another aspect of my life that could use radical change, it is one where, okay, there are some spaces where I need to make radical adjustments. Waking up every morning and making my phone my first priority instead of us my first priority, that's a radical change. That meant there was an addiction and it wasn't the best one, right? So that's a radical change that needed to stop. Cold turkey, right? That's a thing. Cut it cold turkey. It's fine that I need to turn my alarm off on my phone, but after that, it shouldn't be what emails do I need to check? What do I need to do with Suivera? It should
scrolling,
be
social media scrolling, any of that kind of stuff.
Any of that. It should be, how do I connect with you? And how do we start our day with the purest love possible? Because that's what sets the tone for my day. And that was the question I had to ask myself. How do I truly desire to set the tone for my day? Then it's micro adjustments, right? It's really hard when you're running an organization the size of Suivera to just step away from your device for long periods of time, because there's a lot of people that we are in service of and that we support. But that doesn't mean we can't make micro adjustments where we do take dinner, and dinner is just for us. And that is our connection time. And we both agree it is a deviceless time where we are not multitasking and having our phones and having our computers, and unless there's a real reason, and then we discuss that, right? But we can make those micro adjustments. Or if we're going away for a weekend together, can we determine specific times that we will check in and have heart-centered check-ins where we have predetermined when we're going to check in, how we're going to check in. And that's the time that we do it. Outside of those times, unless it's an emergency because our family has reached out, it is heart-centered check-ins with each other. And that's our time, and we know it. Otherwise, it is so easy to get caught up, right?